Last Friday in the final, we showed you Wyoming, Ohio native Steve Brandstetter getting ready to run the Alaska Marathon. It's not just significant because it's so far away for a guy who was always part of the Flying Pig here in his hometown. It ended the decade-and-a-half sojourn that with Anchorage finally included all 50 states. Most of those included packing up his late wife, Julie.
The first race I ran was the Flying Pig in 2003, or the first marathon I ran in 2003. And so I really had no aspirations to run all 50 states or anything like that.
That was 15 years ago when there was one pin in a smaller U.S. map. Steve Branstetter's wife, Julie, was in the early stages of a 17-year battle with multiple sclerosis, the crippling muscle disease. I
loved everything about her, and I loved, God kind of took my spouse away from me and my best girl a little bit at a time, but that girl was as beautiful to me at that point as she was when I met her.
The Brandstetters' affection deepened, but their relationship and dependence on each other changed dramatically. The marathon enthusiast and his wheelchair-bound wife.
The easiest thing in the world to do is nothing. I said, but that doesn't mean it's the right thing to do. And so it was more difficult for me to take her somewhere, and it was more difficult on her, but there were such benefits.
Those included getting Julie out of bed, out of the house, around the country. No matter where they were, Steve was always the attendant. The marathons became secondary to transporting his bride, but with a big payoff at the finish line.
She really got into it because I was into it, and because my girls liked it. And if they got her out, she'd complain about it a little bit, but then when she was out there, it was wonderful, And to hug somebody in a wheelchair when you're running, the crowd goes wild too.
There's been no Julie to hug since she passed in 2014. But last week in Alaska, family and friends and her spirit were there for number 50, nearly 4,000 miles away in Anchorage, along with one little keepsake that hugged Steve's wrist for 26 of those miles.
Covers how I've always felt about my life, about my family's life, about Julie, and about how there's blessings in everything that happens to us, and even the challenges of the MS and everything that she went through. Although I'd never go up to her and say, well, you're really blessed to have this, honey, but it was a blessing, and living in this community and the people that have supported us and all the different things that have happened have been a blessing. So all I need to do is look at that, and it kind of gets me there.